Okay, so I've been seeing this really interesting video making the rounds on TikTok. It's this young man, and he's in his car. In his words, he's frustrating with dating because he feels like he's doing all the right things. He's going to the gym, he's buying flowers, he's being emotionally available, and he's just not having any luck, which I feel like it's okay to talk about, but I noticed there were some people making assumptions about this young guy and saying that, like, oh, it's because you're treating dating women like a game or a prize that you need to win, and trying to like put in the cheat codes, which there is an argument for that. Okay, I've seen that exact sort of mentality with nice guys, but I don't think this person in this particular case was necessarily doing that. And I wanted to talk about it because I think it's more a symptom of being young and having a limited amount of experience in relationship. And like, if I think about when I was in high school and like just out of high school, there were so many things about dating and romance and finding a partner that I fundamentally both did not understand and had terrible ideas about. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that with you and some things I've realized now that I'm an adult and I've had multiple relationships. For starters, obviously, if you watch like any of my videos, I think it's kind of apparent I was a lonely child. I had like kind of a stressful background, which did not prepare me for the world, like at all. So I was one of those kids that like I desperately wanted a connection. I wanted to have someone that I could talk to and express myself with and be intimate with. I did not have the tools to achieve that goal. And the funny thing is, maybe the one advantage of having to consciously learn about how people socialize is that I can be honest and tell you there is kind of a game happening, okay? There are games that are occurring in the dating world for normal people, and you guys just don't realize it. So for example, not like a dating necessarily, but if you go up to a normal person who knows how to socialize and you say, hey, how do you know when a conversation starts and stops? They will look at you like you're crazy because they've just never had to think about it. It's not their fault, okay? They're just so great at talking to people that they've just never had to think about it, and they just know now, okay? And that's great for them. I love that for you. But because I know that, I can see the patterns, okay? It's like being plugged in the Matrix. I realized, okay, and I've talked about this in other videos, that pickup artists, they're not entirely wrong. They have some good ideas buried in the sexism. And one of the interesting things is there are rules, okay? There are social games and situations and things that you need to know the rules and do. Valentine's Day, personally never really gotten it. It stresses me out. I never know what to do. In some ways, I'm a terrible partner, okay? Because I try my best to be thoughtful, but I'm more like I'll be out and about getting groceries and I'll get you your favorite thing of gum or like snacks, because that is how I show affection. I'm not really like plan a big dinner and cook a fish and light the candles. I suck at that, and I will be completely upfront with you about that. But I don't think it's fair to say, oh, there's no games happening. You just be natural in yourself, because it isn't like that for everyone, okay? When you're a child, people just kind of like throw you into a pool of other children and they go, here, you don't need a class on socializing. We'll figure it out. You'll just know. And I don't know, maybe like 75% of the children will learn. They will know how to socialize and they'll do really good at it. They'll be able to like have lots of friends and date, and they'll learn lots about the world. But then there's the other children that are gonna struggle for whatever reason. Maybe they have a difficult home life. Maybe they're just really shy. Maybe they are neurodivergent. I don't know. It just happens, okay? There's always some people that don't quite get it. And it's not fair to lie, okay? Because the awkward people, after they've clued in and they do all the learning, they realize there are games, there are rules, there's stuff you gotta do. Like, okay, I've heard people with fully developed brains debate how long you should wait before texting someone back. And that's like a real thing young people think is a rule. They're like, yeah, if I message too soon, I'll look desperate. But if I don't message at all, I'm a dickhead. And it's like, well, as an adult who's too tired for these games, you could just message me whenever. You know, I might not respond back depending on how busy I am and how invested I am in whatever's happening. But like, it's okay at this point, you know, just like don't blow up my phone. We'll be fine. But that's because I'm older, right? I'm saying that like as a young person, you are not only just learning all the rules, but you are just using the rules for the first time. And then at the same time, you're getting all your information about what the rules are from other young people who don't necessarily know what they're talking about either. And it just leads to confusion, okay? Like, I see people all the time that like freak out because someone liked someone else's Instagram pictures. And I'm like, that's insane. You guys need to stop doing that. That's really weird. But I understand, okay? Because part of being young, I think, is being very insecure. I've never been inside the brain of like a popular kid, but I would assume they also experience insecurities and have vulnerabilities and needs and wants and fears, okay? Because I think all people have that. I have yet to meet a person that truly has no insecurities. That would be insane. Connection is hard for people, even if you're like normal and well socialized. And it is okay to acknowledge that we play games a little bit, especially when you're young, because I think a symptom of that is just you don't fucking know what you're doing. And then other people don't know what they're doing, and you're all just hypothesizing about how other people work. I know when I was young, I had some very toxic ideas about other girls, okay? I was very much a closeted nice girl where I was definitely like, I'm so special and different because I don't do those things as other girls do. And I'd never want to do those stupid girly things. And it's not at all because I'm like secretly attracted to really feminine women, and that intimidates me on a level I'm not capable of expressing or understanding currently. Which I think is helpful actually, because I feel like I understand a little more the dudes that are very intimidated by talking to the opposite sex and have no fucking clue what they're doing, because I also feel fear, okay? It's I think it's normal. There's like a lot of things that you just assume other people know, and then they give you advice and it's terrible, and then you're like, why isn't this working for me? I did all the things that Andy did and it worked good for him. He dated Vanessa and I can't date for shit. Why isn't Andy's advice working for me? And it takes a while to realize that maybe that's because Andy is doing stuff he's not even aware he's doing that Vanessa really liked, because there are just little tiny rules that you don't even know about and Andy doesn't know about because he's just a natural, okay? He was just born to be good at stuff that you don't know about. So yeah, that's the first struggle you have to overcome. So the second issue is it's very easy to confuse love and infatuation with each other, especially when you're young, but also if you happen to have grown up as a lonely child, which is something I learned, and I'm not thrilled about it. Like, it explains for me why I will have like weirdly obsessive crushes on people that like I will never talk to, okay? I'm a coward. I will just like make lots of poems about that person and maybe draw some pictures and just like do some edgy songs about my feelings for that person, but I will never acknowledge it in my outside voice. But it will be very intense for me internally. There are so many people that have just like existed in the space around me and I will be like completely infatuated with. They will have no idea. It's like a little secret. But I now know, okay, that that's a thing for me. I now understand that there is a difference between infatuation and love. And the interesting thing about limerence is a lot of it comes from the fact that if you have caregivers that don't show you a lot of affection, you kind of learn to see love in places where it doesn't exist. You just learn that kind gestures could be love because it's something you've rarely experienced. The unfortunate thing is this is not even necessarily a trauma thing. This is just like a reality for men. There are so many guy friends I have where they will like cry if you hug them because they've never experienced like an iota of kindness from anyone other than like their mom. Yeah, no shit. You're gonna get really confused about like where you're at in a relationship because you're filled with hormones and you also have like never had anyone give you a compliment before. That's insane, okay? We should normalize telling each other nice things about them because holy shit, how else do you expect people to like learn the difference between those two things. I'm a full-grown adult, and I'm only realizing this now, that I struggle to have platonic relationships because I just assume that if someone is very kind and considerate to you, that must be what love is. Okay, that's like a thing that I just learned, and that's terrible and probably very bad for you. And that's like just a reality for like half the population. Even if you're good at socializing, you know the rules, and you understand the difference between full-on love with a capital L and just sort of having an affection for people, which would allow you to sort of filter out the people that are potential partners and people that aren't. There are other factors that can affect how well dating is going to go for you. So for me, again, not having the best relationship with my caregivers that bounced around from being highly neglectful to highly obsessive and toxic, I just assumed that was what everybody was like, especially because I learned all my dating information from rom-coms and TV. So one of the messages I think you see so much in romance and in movies and in books is the idea that you can fix people. Okay, we've all seen the memes of the men and they're like, oh, that lady has a knife and she's gonna stab me. I could probably fix her though because she's hot. And we go, haha, that's silly. You shouldn't do that. But where does that come from? I will tell you. My very first real boyfriend, there were a lot of issues. I would say it was probably a fairly toxic and abusive situation. Wasn't great for either of us. Consciously, okay, I had a list. I was like, okay, these are all the issues that we have, and these are some strategies for maybe fixing those things. But I assumed that was acceptable because I had never seen an adult relationship that was healthy. I had never seen what people truly being in love and caring for each other and showing up actually looked like. My dad, at one point, he said that he didn't like my boyfriend because he was always making fun of me and putting me down, which I didn't even register because my dad did that to me all the time. I thought it was just a thing guys needed to do because they were insecure. I just assumed men needed to be shitty to you because that's how they felt better about themselves, and your job as the woman in the relationship was just to manage that. And that's not great for a young person to think. And there were so many things like that with this specific relationship where I would see the issue. I would know it was an issue. But because of the lessons I had internalized, I would go, that's okay. Love is supposed to be work. If it was easy, there wouldn't be so many shows and movies about how hard romance is and people breaking up and fighting all the time. That's just obviously how being in love works. You should be so crazy obsessed with somebody and they should make you feel so insecure that you can't live without them. That's probably fine. It took me such a long time to realize the people that are good for me are not people that make me feel insecure, but because my entire growing up period, I was taught you need to earn love from people. I thought you just worked really hard at a relationship. I heard all the time that, marriage was work and you needed to work at it to make the relationship work. So naturally, I spent 2 years in this relationship, putting my heart and soul into it, trying to fix this person. A lot of that was because I did not fully understand myself. So one of the things I realized is you can't fix other people, at all. It's just not a thing you can do. You can give all the love and support, but if you go into a relationship assuming you can change somebody, it is going to go very poorly for you because either they're going to change in a way that you no longer recognize them and then you don't mesh for the reasons you meshed before. They're not going to change enough and you're going to be dissatisfied even if they did try to change for you. Or they're not going to change for you because they just fundamentally aren't the kind of person you're looking for. And part of that is, I think, because when you're young, you don't know who you are, what you want. There are a lot of things that I saw in movies, on TV, in porn that I thought I would want. I was like, yeah, I would probably be into this. This is exciting for me. Okay, you ever read a young adult novel as a fully formed person with a brain who has had sex and you realize, wow, this is really shit. There were so many things I thought were sexy, ooh, he's biting her bottom lip. And then as an adult, I'm like, that sounds not for me, though. And the only reason I know that is because I've actually experienced it now. When you're young and you have had a limited amount of dating experience, especially if your pattern is dating people that aren't necessarily good for you, you have no frame of reference. You have no way to know what would be good for you. The only reason I started realizing what I actually wanted in a relationship was because I happened to then date a friend who gave me all these things that I didn't realize I wanted in a relationship. I didn't realize I was the kind of person who wanted lots of kisses and affection and wanted somebody who would like brush my hair and take care of me. These were all things that it didn't occur to me that would be important for my self-esteem. I didn't realize I was the kind of person where certain people who are not very emotionally open and very reserved make me very insecure because I can't read them. And then I am constantly like anxious and questioning my spot in the relationship. But now that I know what my type is, it's so much easier to find people to date. It's very easy for me now to go, oh, this is the kind of person that I would be compatible with because we work together really well. These are the qualities that I really enjoy. They are the kind of person that would fit into the life that I want. But I only learned that through experience. That's only a thing I learned because I went through different relationships and experienced different things, and now I am here and I'm more of a fully formed person. And the other aspect of that is, again, you can't fix other people, but sometimes the desire to fix other people is because there are things inside of you that you need to fix. For me personally, I like this term a lot. It's called narcissistic fleas. It's the idea that when you spend a lot of time around someone who's really toxic, you will pick up fleas, essentially. You'll pick up some of their bad behaviors. And this was absolutely true for me. My parents, super judgy people. No one was ever good enough for them. Even people that they claim they really liked, they would shit talk them all the time behind their back. So I learned also to be very judgy and to have unreasonable standards. I learned to look down on people that I thought were inferior or not as smart as me, which the only reason that turned around for me is because I had a partner who I initially kind of prejudged as being dumb, and they continue to be one of the smartest, wisest, most down-to-earth people I have ever met. But I never would have seen that if I had continued in the patterns of behavior that I had been in. For me, there are so many things I've had to work on. I have a lot of issues with micromanaging. I get very anxious and I feel like I need to control things a lot. So I've had to learn in the last couple of years to say like, hey, this is stressing me out. I know it's a thing I could be in charge of, but I feel like it's bad for our relationship if I do this. I really need you to take this away from me and not let me be around it because I will be a terrible bitchy person to you. And that works, okay? I know that. But I only am able to make that work in a relationship because I've done the reflection and I can say these are qualities I see in myself that I've learned from other people that I do not want to have, and it's not the kind of person I want to be. But yeah, at the time when I looked at fixing people, especially people I was dating, it all came from the lens of like, I know better. I am the smartest person and I 100% know that this is right and this is wrong because mom and dad told me so, which is a terrible way to live your life. I do not recommend basing how you should be in your relationships off of what mom and dad do, because even if stuff works great for your parents, even if they're great people, you might not be like your parents and you just don't know yet. Even if you get over the like learning how to be charismatic and interesting and funny and you are able to connect with people in a genuine way, there can still be issues with recognizing whether someone is a good partner for you, because you not only have the confusion of whether someone is being just normal kind to you or whether it is truly what love is supposed to look like, then you also have all this messaging. The reason there is so much drama in media is because it's entertainment. It would not be entertaining to watch a show where people are just blissfully in love the whole time. I feel like that wouldn't sell very well. But if that's your entire worldview for how romance and relationships should work and what that should look like, of course you're gonna look at a toxic situation and go, yep, this is normal. You have no frame of reference and you're not quite at that stage where you can go, oh, this is only entertainment. This is fine. This is not a thing that we need to do. One of the only saving graces I had was I took it as a rule that you should always be honest with people, because every time I saw in TV that someone lied about something, the other person would always find out and they'd be upset. And I was like, oh, okay. So the rule is you should just always be honest, because then you avoid the situation, because logically people will always find out. I'm now realizing that like you can lie and people can never find out. But that rule, assuming that one specific aspect of TV was reality, actually helped me an awful lot. And I don't know, maybe that'll help you too. The other aspect of that is maybe you are doing the right things. Maybe you are playing the game the correct way and you're socializing the way you're supposed to. You're listening to the person. You're doing all the nice things for them. You've accepted them as they are. But if you don't know yourself and love yourself, that's going to be really hard. Going to the gym is actually great, and not for the reason people think. I see so many young men who think going to the gym is something you should do because it'll make you more attractive, right? It'll give you the certain muscle mass, and that's what women are looking for. But I think, and maybe this is just me, when you have a personal interest or a hobby, something you're really passionate about that makes you feel good, you become more confident and you express yourself in a different way. I can see why I was not attractive to that many people in high school, because I had a lot of insecurities, and the way those insecurities came out could be very volatile. I had difficulty controlling my emotions. I was very judgy. I could just be downright bossy to people. I'm still really bossy. I won't even lie about that, but it's a healthier level of bossy. Like, I had such little confidence that I think you could probably tell if you had met me that I just was not feeling very good about myself as a person. So I didn't have the confidence to be charming and personable. It was something I had to learn. If you want to go to the gym, do it because you want to feel good about yourself and you enjoy those things. Don't do it because you're trying to get with a girl. Honestly, personal preference, I like boxing, I like working out, but I wouldn't probably want to date a guy that is super into sports and wants to go work out all the time, because for me, that's just not how I would want to spend my time with that person. I am a homebody, okay? I am the kind of person that I want to sit on the couch and eat pizza and we watch horror movies and then I yell at Deep Blue Sea because it's a stupid movie that I hate. So yeah, I think you have to work on the self-love aspect of who you are, even if it never gets you a partner, because it's just healthier for you. You become a happier, healthier person because you're taking care of yourself. So if you're already doing that, that's excellent. That's a wonderful step. But that does not mean that you're going to attract a partner. And I think that can be a little confusing because we tell people, oh, work on yourself, do these things. And then people go, oh, okay, so this is how I get a girl. It is and it isn't. Because the other aspect is you need to know yourself and what you want in a relationship to be able to find compatible people. If you don't know your preferences, it will be very hard to find the right people, because I think, like, especially for me, I was very attracted to exactly the wrong kind of people for me. I was very attracted to people that were like kind of mean to me because I have a lot of internalized rejection issues. I was very attracted to people that were very reserved and closed off because it kind of triggered that, like, oh, I need to work for this. I need to earn affection, because that was what I saw in my caregivers. I have found that the kinds of partners that I work best with, that make me happy and make me feel like myself, are very different than I first imagined physically, personality-wise. You just need to learn, you just need to learn what aspects of people you're actually looking for. I think when you're young, you have a lot of ideas, right? I would read books and stories and watch movies and I would go, oh, this is obviously what I want because I want to be this kind of person. But that's not how it works. I can want to be like a specific person in a movie, but that doesn't mean that I am that person and I can live that life. The kind of person that would be compatible for a girl who's really artsy and goes out a lot and loves partying and being very spontaneous might not be the kind of person that's suitable for me. I've had to learn to be very honest about myself because there are a lot of assumptions I made about the kind of person I was that are just kind of wrong. For me, I thought like, oh, I want a really highly intelligent person that will debate me on stuff. But that's not exactly what it is. I would seek out very antagonistic people that had very strong views because I was attracted to like the fun aspect of that. But what I was really looking for was someone I could trade ideas with, someone that I could go, oh, hey, this is what I think. What do you think? And then we could like build on those ideas together. It was more collaborative and less you're dumb for different reasons. I thought I was the kind of person where I wanted someone who was kind of like sarcastic and mean. But I'm realizing I'm a squishy baby inside, and I really need someone who's going to like pat me on the head and tell me I'm good and put up with me when I'm being kind of a brat, because that is truly the kind of person I am. And it's taken me a long time to accept that I am kind of like a silly, spontaneous, weird person, and that is what fits me best. I thought I would want someone who wants to go out and do all these crazy things, but I feel old internally, okay? I feel like I've lived 40 lifetimes. I don't know, I just want to like hang out and we make some sushi together and we like watch Lucifer or something. You know, that's what I want. I want someone who will put up with me watching Arrested Development like 30 times, because I'll just watch like the same shows over and over again, and that's just who I be. And I need the kind of people that will go, oh my god, I love this thing, and you can like trade the joke back and forth. That's what I want. That's what I need. And I needed to learn to love myself and figure that out, or I wouldn't know. So yeah, I don't think we gotta be so hard on young people when they don't understand why dating is hard, because it is hard, okay? Like, I'm not an online dater, really. Like, I've had long distance relationships, but those have been spontaneous. It's like, oh, we're all hanging out and I happen to like you and we get along very well. This is great for me. I do not envy people that like go on Tinder and shit. That sounds like a nightmare. Like, I've thought about it and I'm like, I don't know what I would put in a dating profile for me. How do you sum up yourself as a person in a reasonable amount of characters to make that person attracted to you? That seems really hard. I don't even know how to do that in like a face-to-face conversation. Or like, how do you judge people based off a picture, whether you're gonna like them or not? Some of my best relationships have started with people that like I wasn't terribly attracted to. I was just like, I don't know, you're cool, we're friends, I guess we could give it a shot. And then people I was like insanely attracted to, it was terrible, okay? It was really bad. It was not good for me. I don't recommend it. But that's my like, I didn't know there was a difference between someone being like physically very attractive to you and whether someone would be compatible for you or not in like a love sense, because I don't know, no one told me about that. It wasn't like a skill that I was taught. I just learned. Yeah, I do not envy people trying to figure out dating, especially if you're new at it. I think it's fair to be frustrated sometimes and to be a little lost. It's okay to have some poor ideas about how dating should work and what you should respect and what you should expect out of relationships, because I don't know, you're forming opinions right now. You can improve those opinions over time through experience, but you need to do the experience part first or you're not going to get it. Like, at this point, I feel like maybe it would be more helpful if people who do have successful relationships actually broke down like, hey, this is how I met this person, this is what happened for me, and this is why we work well together. These are things that I learned. Or people who have successful relationships going over the bad relationships and being like, hey, so these are things I learned in previous relationships that were not great for me, and maybe this will be helpful to you. But also, like, I know high school sweethearts exist, but I don't know if you're necessarily gonna meet a fully formed healthy person in high school. I don't think you can be a young person and not have questionable opinions about the world, okay? I was a very naive teenager. There were a lot of things that I thought were objectively correct, politically, ideologically, religiously, that I have changed my mind about multiple times. I've gone from having very extreme views about things having hard lines to, I don't know, there's some gray areas, you know, there's some room for stuff, and I've only learned that with age and experience. There are certain kinds of people that I judged very harshly as a young person that I've now come to realize I actually get along really well with, and we have a lot in common, and it makes me very happy. There are a lot of assumptions I made about what men like and want or need that I am only just now unlearning. All the time, I think to myself, oh, this guy's not going to like you because you're not feminine enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not cute enough, you're not whatever all these things are that I assume guys want. And then I will be pleasantly surprised when people like me and are attracted to me just the way that I am. But I have like disqualified myself in advance because I was taught some crazy shit about what guys are supposed to like and think. And yeah, a lot of that came from not having good messaging, because I would see stuff on TV about what the ideal girl is supposed to be like, and I would not measure up to that. My dad would sit me down and have crazy weird conversations with me about dating, and it was always uncomfortable and problematic. This man literally told me that if you break up with someone, you can never be friends with them. You can never talk to them again because it's like impossible. And I thought that was real. Okay, I was like, wow, that's really sad. So I should like never date friends. I've learned is not true. If you have like a good relationship with someone and you get along well and you're both mature, you can be like, oh, hey, so, this isn't working out, but I still love and care about you as like a friend and I want you to be happy. That's fine. There's a lot of really immature ideas about how dating works that you can get from full grown adults and you probably shouldn't. I don't necessarily think it's misogyny. I think it's because people suck at understanding other people in different ways. And we don't always realize that because we're too busy judging everybody else. If we all were like, oh, hey, I remember when I was a weird, shitty person, this is probably where this person might be at, we would all learn so much faster. It is so much easier to be like, here are some things that I learned, than to be like, no, you're a bad person and you'll be a bad person forever and you're probably like super sexist and mean and abusive. And it's like, no, there are different reasons for different things. Yeah, I don't know. Cut the youth some slack. They're doing their best. They're really trying out here. And there are a lot of obstacles. The mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, people lying to you about how the world works just constantly. It's very reasonable to develop misconceptions, and we can be a little bit more constructive with our criticism.